there is never been a time travel thing ever made where it's just like you time travel and it's like okay, right? Like you can't have that as a narrative device without there being some consequence. Like it had, whether it's like you age when you do it, or you fucking, you affect the past, or you affect the future, like something. But with this, there is no consequence to it unless you count, if you do it too much, you'll become egotistical.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you'll get really full of yourself if you keep going back 57 seconds.
Well, I mean, like, this is the one example of the movie actually showing instead of telling, is because, like, in his efforts to woo this young lady, he keeps going back in time 57 seconds to get better at fucking her. Like, there's a scene where she's like, "Oh, like they're getting hot and heavy," and she's like, "Oh, suck my toes," and he's like, "What?" And then he's just like, "Okay, oops," whoop, had to rewind. Goes back 57 seconds, and before she can even ask, he's like got her toes in his mouth, just going to town. And he can like, it seems very out of place in this movie where it's like all of a sudden they're saying fuck and sucking on toes. It's just like, wait a second, I thought I was watching something on TNT or something.
The sucking on toes part felt like a fucking sex comedy scene. It really did.
It reminded me of a great independent film I saw once, or I didn't see it. I read the script to it, called Penis Boy. Terrific independent film by a filmmaker we know.
We gotta support independent filmmakers outside the studio system.
If they had made this a comedy,
it would have been funny. Like there's so much comic potential in the ring that you can travel a minute back in time with.
But they needed to talk about politics here, and that was really the most important thing in the movie, was always knowing that we're doing a political movie here.
Before we get into the further details of how this plot develops, the one thing I want to note of the lovemaking sequence is that, like, all the times that he restarts it, like, she gets up the next day and it's like the next morning and she's like, "Last night it was like you were in my head. Like everything was perfect." And I like the idea that, like, in the universe of this movie, his lived experience of the time it took him to get her off was like 4 months of him restarting that date over and over again.
That is a pretty funny idea. Yeah, like the idea of a guy who has like really like the power of a god. Like if you could just keep going back, it's like, right, you know everything, you can correct anything. And assigning that power, you would not even have to change the character. Just use this exact same character. This mumbling idiot who runs a health blog in 2023. That is a hysterical concept.
Yes, it is.
It's really funny.
And even funnier is like after, like, when he figures out what to do with the ring other than just like get laid, he's like, "Oh, I'll go to a casino," which is like, once again, you have the power of God. And you're like, "I'm going to make $5,000 the easy way." And it's just like, this guy's supposed to be a health and technology blogger, but he displays the behavior of like the dumbest guy alive. Like, he has no ambitions or thoughts for the time travel god machine in his pocket, other than, "I'd like to go play roulette." But the thing is, the movie is not aware of that at all.
The roulette stuff is, to me, like, that like, it doesn't seem like he loses at all, so he just kind of goes there and wins over and over again, and then the security guys are like, "This guy's got to be cheating," but like everybody in the movie basically is like, "This guy's got to be doing something. I just can't figure it out." Like that is everybody else's role in the movie except for Morgan Freeman's and Darth Maul. It's like, we got to figure out what this guy's doing. He must know the future. Let's take him to a casino. Like, because that's the thing. We spend time in a casino, and then when he meets the bad guy's like, "You know what we ought to do? We ought to go to a casino or to my friend's house at a casino." It's like, no,